Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Baschamania podcast. This is episode 192, brought to you by our friends at Attack, ATAC. Attack, video game stats meets real life training. What's your attack rating? Put in the work to get closer to your goals. I talked about this last week on the podcast. Attack now provides these super cool video game stats where you can see your ranking in strength, endurance, agility, flexibility, your mental levels. And Attack will give you an overall rating. You can see where you stack up against some of the best wrestlers in the world. So download Attack, ATAC, in the Apple App Store, the Google Play Store. Follow them on social. They're attackatac.app. We are back with an afternoon Baschamania 192. Cal Poly Wrestling repping Willie the Brain. How are you?
Good. I love this. Is my favorite, one of my favorite shirts. Cal Poly shirts in general. Any shirt they send you is good stuff. You know what? They don't have a whole heck of a lot of anymore. I mean, this might show my age, but you remember the old like team issued gear, Russell Athletic, gray Heather, what like that you worked out in every day and you gave to the, then you threw it in the laundry and the next day it was back. Those are the best material. You can't even find them anymore. Now everybody has these dry fit things, which I hate. I just don't like them. Maybe it's because I
don't
fat,
either. No, I don't either. I'm in like semi-moderate shape, and it's still like I like the next level stuff. I'm going through excuse me, a lot of the Army West Point stuff. I like their gear. I've got like 3 shirts. They're heavy in the rotation.
Yeah. So I like this material. So you wanna talk about the Open, baby? I cannot tell you how much I love the U.S. Open. The week. It's just incredible. All the talents there. High stakes. All the coaches are there. There's a freestyle like group of human beings, coaches, athletes that you don't get to see a lot during, for 6 months. And they're all there. And it's really like, I don't want to say hands-on, but at 9:00 at night when the sessions are over, you might be rolling dice next to Tyler Caldwell. I don't know. Pick a like a coach, like somebody important.
You might Willie, just be turn your mic down. Turn your mic down just a little bit.
All right, I don't know how to do that, but
do you have a little dial on your interface?
Let's see. I got it.
All right, that sounds better. All right. You're spot on. Your tweet about rubbing elbows with people, I remember it was probably 4 or 5 years ago now. After the finals, I remember both Burroughs and Taylor coming to the Aria, and we were all hanging out. Clay Guida was there. Izzy was there. It's such a cool place to build relationships. And all the casual fans that go to NCAAs aren't there. It's a lot of like wrestling diehards. It's a lot of wrestlers and their families and coaches.
Yep.
My wife is literally due next week. That's the only reason I'm not going.
Yeah, no, I get it. But,
I'm bummed about that, but it is the event to go to.
Yeah.
And you also, there is a lot of downtime, and because of the time change, there's a lot of time to just like sit and talk with people. I remember the first time going, I thought it was so weird that NCAAs is this huge thing. And then just walking into the Open and guys, NCAA champs warming up right next to you.
Yeah.
And they have to tell people like, guys, no more autographs right now. Like they literally have to go back into their corner and work out, warm up.
Yeah. It's a whole different world, right? You go to Big Tens and you go to NCAAs and it's athletes here and spectators here and you can't get in and you can't see them. And then you're walking at the US Open, you're walking to the competition floor arena and you go up the same escalator as David Taylor's right next to you. You might be right, it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so I love it. I'm bummed I'm not going, but it is the U.S. Open is back to being the U.S. Open this year. Mm-hmm. It is I love what USA Wrestling did with making this the World Team Trials, essentially. And I think it has forced everybody, to compete, or like you talked about in your last show, take the year off. That was one reason why I stand behind my tweet about Spencer Lee. I still find it odd, and I knew people were going to take it the wrong way, which is why I worded it the way I did.
Well, I think, I think you're getting to the level of, I think the people that took it the wrong way wanted to take it the wrong way. I think once you're gaining momentum, you're doing a lot of new shows, you're doing a lot of shows, you're making your brand's getting bigger, and people are going to love you and they're going to hate you for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. You could do it. You might not have done a single thing wrong, but some people are not going to, some people just want to hate on stuff. And so if you say it's weird that Spencer Lee registered for the Open and none of his sponsors sort of made an announcement, made a thing about it, did anything with it, that's sort of weird. And I wonder if that's an indication that maybe Spencer's not fully committed to going. He registered, he's not fully committed. That is, one, a good observation, and two, a perfectly fine and logical conclusion to come to. That's what I came to. And then people are going to complain like, oh, Basch is just making something out of nothing. No, he's not. So I don't even know where they're coming from, because it's nonsensical.
It's one of two things. It's either Spencer not acknowledging it, Hawkeye Wrestling Club, Brutus, everybody not acknowledging it because he said, I'm not sure. And people are saying, like, why register now? Because it doesn't matter. I think either way, I think he's going to take that last week. And I think if he's going to compete, it's a Monday, Tuesday decision for the weekend. So if that's the case,
he goes on a show. He goes on a show and says, I'm not sure. I haven't worked out since NCAAs. I'll register, but I'm not sure if I'll compete. It's touch and go. And then he registers and nobody makes a peep about it. And you say, maybe it's an indication he's still on the fence. Perfectly logical conclusion.
And by the way,
conclusion to come to.
And the other conclusion, which I alluded to in there, was I understand wrestling is very bad at marketing promotion. And when you have an athlete like Spencer Lee, this isn't your average competitor going to the Open. No. I understand what some people are saying. Oh, not everybody announces who's going. First of all, that's a huge miss. Yeah. If I'm the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, if I'm Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, I'm going to send a link out to my website and say, hey, this is who we're registering tonight. They're going. And get the eyeballs, get the attention, because you're trying to do that all year long. You're trying to get donations. You're trying to sell merchandise. You're trying to get golf registrations. Leverage the interest to do it. So it could just be a miss, and that wouldn't surprise me either. Yeah. But either way, and I saw some of the people that are like kind of looking at it like, hey, that's kind of a good idea. Like, let's make sure that we leverage the announcement of who's competing, because if nothing else, it's extra eyeballs that a club, an organization, a sponsor gets.
Yeah. I don't quite understand it. I mean, the only conclusion, if you sign an athlete to a promotional deal, if he's your brand ambassador, if he's your this or that, and when he is going to compete, whether it's the U.S. Open or the Zagreb Open or whatever, and you're not going to promote where he's going to be or how he did, I mean, what was the point of signing him?
And by the way, it's next weekend. It's not like it's at the end of May and we're like, hey, as we get closer, like it's literally, hey, one of the biggest names in the sport has decided to go compete and chase down a world championship, educate the fan. If he wins this, he goes to Final X and he faces Gilman. The storyline's there. You can't make up the story any better that, he decides, if he decides to compete and he wins, that he then wrestles former Hawkeye Gilman.
Yeah. And well, and like I said on the other show, and this goes for Spencer and it goes for everybody else. But let's be honest, Spencer isn't everybody else, right?
Correct.
Nobody made a big deal that Zane Richards entered, right? Zane Richards, I don't know, RTC. Nathan Tomasello's RTC didn't have a marketing campaign for him entering the U.S. Open. That's okay. They probably should.
Correct. That's the other thing. They should. Just
right.
because somebody doesn't announce somebody.
Some of the critics too were like, not every people. Who else announces at the register? Nobody else announces at the register. Well, that's a problem.
Correct.
I mean, that doesn't make it right. I mean, what you want to have promotion? Oh, we need more promotion. We need more eyeballs on the sport. And then, but you don't think that you should. You don't think that you should announce that you're competing, or at least put out the information. And the thing with Spencer too is, and the way the system is set up now, is that if you go to the U.S. Open, not going to the U.S. Open or not going to the U.S. Open is not a singular thing, because what it means is, if you go to the U.S. Open, you can have the opportunity to go to Final X. You can have the opportunity to go to Worlds. And so it is a big deal if Spencer is in or out, because if Spencer is in, and anybody for that matter, if an athlete is in, it creates the possibility that he makes a team. He goes to the world. He goes to training camp. He goes to Final X. He goes to Worlds. If you don't go to this tournament, your season's over, except for fly-by-night events.
Yeah, it's also such an opportunity for college teams and RTCs to parlay the casual fans' interest that they still have from NCAAs. If you're Princeton and Pat Glory goes out there, wins a national championship, all the emotion on display, parlay that. Keep that fan who is rooting for Pat Glory and celebrating with Pat Glory. Let them know he's going to the Open with Nick Soriano, with possibly Spencer Lee. Like, let your fans know that. And that's why it's like some of these Hawkeye fans, like, I'm not calling out the Hawkeye Wrestling Club. All I was saying is that if they do not mention anything, it is a miss. I don't care if it's the NLWC, the Hawkeye Wrestling Club, the NJRTC. It's a miss. And none of these organizations are going to tell you that they have marketing down. They're getting better. A lot of them are getting better, the team and the club level, but it would still be an opportunity to talk about who people are tuning into this show literally to talk about next weekend. Why? Because it's exciting when you're a sports fan to preview what's coming up. That's Sports 101.
Yeah. And again, the freestyle season, there's limited dates. I mean, if you want to market your RTC and say, hey, we have a strong, robust RTC and we're going to promote it. I mean, if you're not, you only have like 4 dates to promote.
Yep.
Right. So why aren't you?
And by the way, if Spencer doesn't win the Open, he's likely not competing again until October, November. He's not competing until essentially next season, because at this point, all the championships, everything's geared towards world championships. You have Pan Ams, you have Final X. You're not going to have much during the summer because we get ready for the world championships. And then you have to wait. So there's a long break. And it's not just Spencer. It's all these athletes. If they don't win this weekend, this is playoffs. The U.S. Open is playoffs.
Remember, you know, what you have to remember too is the 20. They didn't announce how they're going to do 20. Did they announce the Olympic trials procedure for 2024?
No, not yet.
No. But in 2020, which actually was 2021, those guys sat in the finals, right? Did they sit in the finals? The medalists, the returning medalists.
Yes, I believe they did. I believe they did because I
can't remember. I was there and I can't even remember.
I'm pretty sure they did.
Mm-hmm. So I'm getting text messages and stuff. I literally turned my phone off. My phone is powered off, and I'm still getting.
Is it anything juicy?
Caleb Smith That he was the 5 seed at 125. He committed to Nebraska just now.
Nice.
He was in the portal. Yeah, there's a lot of news going on. Actually, a lot of people in the portal, not a lot of announcements. Right? It's weird.
I texted Nagao yesterday, and I said, because I think we're going to try to do a show on Baschamania when he makes his decision, which will be fun.
Yeah.
So he's still just taking things in and hasn't made a decision yet, but he's still thinking end of the month. Do you think we're kind of going all over the place here? I saw Minio say that Chris Cannon is likely down to Rutgers and Penn State. Do you think that decision comes after Nagao's?
I don't know. It depends what the schools prioritize, right? If let's say if Penn State, or anybody, let's say if one school wants one of the guys more than the other, and they offer more money, or they offer, hey, it might depend on who wants them worse.
But even if I don't think you're going to offer, even if the money's there, let's say you're Cannon, and let's just say one school has less money on the table, if that's what's happening. Aren't you going to take the path of least resistance to make sure you make the team? If I'm Cannon and Nagao goes to Penn State, do you really want to go to Penn State to wrestle off Nagao when there's a clear path for you at Rutgers?
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. I mean, they're not going to take both of them, right? So it's if a team lands Nagao, then Cannon won't go to that team. If a team lands Cannon, then Nagao won't go there.
That's what I'm wondering. If we wait until certain people make decisions based on others.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
going to get interesting.
But
let's talk a little open preview.
Wait, hold on. Before I get there,
yep.
Here's a point. The point is that if Spencer or anybody again, we focus on Spencer because he's giant brand. If Spencer doesn't wrestle here either at the U.S. Open, he will not sit in the finals. I mean, this has huge implications for the Olympics, right? Huge. It's not like if you wrestle in this tournament, you can 1, win it. You can 2, go to Final X. You can 3, make the world team, and you can 4, sit in the finals of the trials, Olympic trials, guys. That's how huge this event is. And so it changes the trajectory and the schedule, and it changes everything for almost a 2-year span.
Especially when the U.S. is as deep as we are, where it's one thing I'm looking at as I'm going through the weight, and it's crazy. Like the USA is so deep. I've been trying to make graphics for who's going to Final X and committing, and it's like 4-time World Olympic champ David Taylor, this guy World Olympic champ, that guy World Olympic champ. It's so deep that the domestic matches, it feels like a world medal match. Mm-hmm. If Spencer Lee wins 57 kilos in the U.S., don't tell me he's not medaling at the World Championships. Same goes for a lot of these weights. I thought that for Seth Gross. Like, if he can beat Dayton Fix, don't tell me he can't medal at the World Championships. The U.S. is so deep right now that whoever wins is likely medaling.
Yeah, that's why I don't know what your take has been on in the past. But my opinion has kind of changed a little bit on guys going to other countries. I'm all for guys going to other countries now. It was sort of one thing. I mean, if you followed wrestling, if you followed international wrestling in the era, in the aughts and the early teens, where we got 1 or 2 medals a year, then I could probably see where you would be like, no, I don't want our talent going to other nations because I want those guys winning medals for us. But now our 2s and 3s could contend for medals. Like, our 1s are going to be fine. It doesn't matter if Austin Gomez goes to Mexico, or Nick Soriano goes to Italy, or Miles Amin goes to San Marino. we're not losing medals because our ones are going to they're going to be competitive, right? They might not win a medal, but they're going to be competitive. And I'm to a point where I'd almost like Soriano to go to Italy so that America has like two guys we can cheer for.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting if we start getting right now, it seems like guys lower on the ladder are going. Our ones and twos are not going yet. That's when it will get interesting if the ones and twos start going to compete for a different country.
Yeah.
I think right now you have a lot of guys that are like between pride for, a different country and the opportunity of going through the gauntlet when, like you said, they can medal. Miles Amin, he's a tough gun. I think he just won the European Championships medal match today, so he's going to wrestle for a medal, I believe. The talent in the U.S. is so deep at this point. I think it's only going to become more and more popular. I really do. I think we're going to see it more and more.
And you might see, Mexico has some momentum going on there. They're starting to get their stuff together. They're starting to get a little bit more funding, even some private donations. And I think you'll see some Americans go there. And so a lot of it too, it's one or the other. It's the opportunity. Let's say a guy that's really talented, let's say a guy that's solid, but he's never going to make the American team, right? So he goes to Argentina or something, right? That's a guy that's looking for opportunity, right? Now there's another level. There's two sides of that. There's that, and then there's also the money aspect where some of these nations don't have the money to support you, right? But there's countries that are starting to come on, right? You saw what's his name? He's older than dirt. His brother was older. Petirov went to like Bahrain or Qatar or something like that. And Kuruglia the other day went to somewhere. One of the Russian guys went to Albania, the one that was in the finals of the one that beat Gilman, right? He went to Albania. These are not countries that typically pay for wrestlers, but they are starting to now, right? So when you see more and more of that, then maybe more and more Americans go elsewhere.
Yeah, because you're also starting to see, if American college wrestlers go compete for your country is going to get more eyeballs.
Yeah.
If you have, like Mexico has, Anthony Valencia and Austin Gomez, and as you start having some of these guys who bring eyeballs, it changes the game.
And it's also like, it's funny because when you talk about like, well, should this junior in high school, should he commit to Michigan or Minnesota? And it's like, well, he's going to be a 125 pounder. And Michigan just got this. Michigan has a freshman there that's really good. But Minnesota has their 125s graduating. So it's a better fit there because it's a great path to starting, right? So we always say that. Oh, how did he fit? How does he, But when it comes to like making the world team, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe he's going to go wrestle for Greece. It's like, you can understand it when he's going to college, but you can't understand it at the world and Olympic level. Like, who wants to wrestle Kyle Snyder and Jaden Cox to make the world team?
I think I know for me, like, I'm born and raised in America. My grandparents were born in Holland. I have some passion for the country, but me personally, like, I could never fathom wrestling for another country. And I think sometimes if I was a good wrestler, I think sometimes people take that stance. It's just what I would do. America has a problem with empathizing for somebody else, whether you agree or disagree, and we kind of take whatever our personal stance is. And if we're not in their shoes, it's harder to see. I can never imagine wanting to compete for another country. I'm also not in somebody else's shoes.
I wouldn't want to either, but for a lot of people, the reality is that the best guy in the country is the best guy in the world, and getting through them is not going to be a small task.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So you know what, Bash? I know we're gonna go through the weights here, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been so neck deep in prospects and recruiting class rankings and big boards and the OU job search and who's in the portal. I do not know. I am not intimately knowledgeable about who's all in and who's all out.
So yeah, I figured that much. I know you're doing shows at 2 a.m. about junior big board. I'll wake up. I get up at like 5 a.m. I saw an email from Rokfin. Willie's got a new show up. I'm like, then I tune in. It's like, hey, it's midnight, drinking a cup of coffee. Let's do a show. So I love that.
Yeah.
But I've got I've got the registration list and I've got all the bigger names in bold. So I'll tell you at each weight who the heavy hitters are.
Yeah.
And then you can give some feedback. I'll give some feedback. So 57, the heavy hitters, Jacob Camacho, Nick Soriano, Zane Richards, Pat Glory, Spencer Lee, Steve O'Poulin also registered. He's an interesting one. Big 12 champ this year. I love seeing these college guys go out and taking chances. This is one of those weights that's so interesting because you have Spencer, who is obviously one of the greatest freestyle wrestlers when he competes. Will he compete? What's his health? You know, Soriano wants a piece of him. You know, Pat Glory wants a piece of him. And I was actually talking to Corby the other day, and, you know, he made the point that it's like once Spencer Lee lost, there's that element of, man, he can be beat. When he seems so invisible because he is so good, and now he goes down, that's got to increase your confidence from guys like Soriano, Glory, who just saw him go down and say that he is beatable. And confidence level coming into this is going to be high for these guys. And likewise, Spencer, you know, you saw it in the Barstool interview. He's very much a bit fixated on what other people are saying. He made a lot of comments about, you know, comments that he disagrees with, that I disagree with a lot of them too. But
yeah, because most of them are asinine.
Correct. So you got to wonder how that factors into his approach to this and his mentality of not necessarily proving anybody wrong, but the negative aspect of the internet, and how will that factor in if he competes?
Yeah, I just think, I mean, I think they need to treat him like a racehorse, you know, get him ready, get him prepped, and put the blinders on. Don't worry about what anybody thinks. And that goes before the match, that goes especially during the match, and that goes after the match. I mean, a lot of the people, myself included, thought that the longer a match goes on, Spencer like sort of gets in his own head. It seems to me, outside looking in. And so, I mean, if I'm Spencer, if I'm the coaches, don't worry about it. Go do your thing. Go do your thing. You're a racehorse. Go run. Right? You're a wrestler. You're dominant. Go wrestle. Stop worrying about. Don't worry about anything out exterior or extraneous. So I don't know when I'm handicapping this field. I don't know. I don't even know if Spencer's going to wrestle. I don't know if he's healthy. I mean, a full on healthy Spencer's hard to pick against. But if I don't know, I mean, 2 weeks ago he said he hasn't touched the mat. All right, so in that case, I don't know. I'm going Soriano here.
Spencer healthy wins this, I think. I also think that whether Spencer wins or loses, the internet is going to attack. If he loses, he's going to get crap for losing a match, because he always does. If he wins, there's going to be crap. Why didn't he wrestle back? Blah, 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 blah. So I agree. He needs to just, if I'm in Spencer's camp, head down, win. And now you can build the Spencer Gilman story for the next month and a half, which is going to be an incredible storyline.
Yeah, you could write a script on that.
Right. That's a Stalemates video waiting to happen. If Spencer and Gilman wrestle at Final X. So, yeah, and, it's going to be interesting to see how some of these kids wrestle. Pat Glory Poulin, how they seed some of these weights, I'm not even going to begin to entertain. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, what if we get a Spencer Pat Glory semi and a Spencer Soriano final? Depending on what his health is, and going back to what you were saying about the importance of sitting out, this is a chance for Spencer to, next would be Final X. And then if he wins Final X and he medals at the World Championships, he doesn't have to do this again next year. So when you're talking about a guy who's had a lot of health issues, trying to minimize matches you have to wrestle has got to come into play. So there's a lot on this tournament. I think it comes down to Spencer and Soriano.
It's tough to. I mean, one of the most interesting things of the weekend is going to be if Spencer's name pops up in the bracket, right? Unless in some form or fashion, there's news between now and the start of the tournament that Spencer says, I'm definitely going. I'm going to win.
I don't think anything matters until the most important text, if you're following the Spencer saga, is the weigh-in. Spencer weighs in or Spencer doesn't weigh in. That's it. Those are the two scenarios right there.
Right.
That everybody should pay attention to.
Yeah.
You better be in that weigh-in room, and you better text, tweet out right away.
I'm going to be in the weigh-in room. They better let me. If not, I'll register right now and say and then I'll go to weigh-ins.
What weight are you registering at?
74 kilos.
Okay. You and Chenzo first round? Let's go. All right, so that's 57. U.S. Open's always interesting.
When's the last time you talked to Chenzo?
Yesterday. Or today, actually. He's ready to go. He's fired up. He is arguably as healthy as I've ever seen.
Is Mark's registered? How about I had 4 tickets to Lil Wayne concert yesterday, and everybody that I tell that I have tickets to Lil Wayne, they giggle like I'm an idiot. But so I'm supposed to go to Philly. I got a 14-game package for the Phillies. I went 2 weeks ago. They're like Sunday package, right? Every couple Sundays. So I had the Lil Wayne concert last night, Phillies game Sunday, this coming Sunday, leave for Vegas on Tuesday. And I'm like, man, I gotta just hold off on everything. I'm not going to the Lil Wayne concert. I'm not going to the Phillies game on Sunday. I'll go to the next one. I'm going to Vegas for 10 days. I don't have to do all this crazy stuff, right? So I text Mark, and I gave Mark the 4 tickets, and him and the Penn coaches went to Lil Wayne concert last night. And Pearsall texted me a picture of him and of himself and BJ Futrell and said, we're having a good time.
I love that.
He said, Mark's here too, but we haven't seen him in a while.
Oh, man. Oh, so that's 57. I think it comes down to Spencer Soriano. 61, Daniel DeShazer, Seth Gross, Nashon Garrett, Shelton Mack, Vito Arujá, Nico Megaludis, Jesse Mendez, Austin DeSanto, Cody Brewer. This is a gauntlet because you look at some of these matches, you look at Jesse Mendez, Seth Gross last year, where Mendez was winning. Seth Gross comes back to win 13-12. You look at Vito, who was just an absolute destroyer at 57 until Gilman, who teched him twice. But apart from that, destroyed everybody. And
Dayton is still not registered?
Dayton is still not registered. But I put a graphic out. Cassiope and Fix, if I'm them, I'm not wrestling. They can both go to the World Team Trials Challenge tournament because they're already qualified. So in theory, those two do not need to register for the Open to go to Final X.
What? By virtue of what?
Dayton Fix for being a world team member, Cassiope for his U23 world medal last year.
And there's no medalist here.
Correct.
Oh, so I bet you Dayton doesn't go.
If I'm Fix, why? Give yourself some extra time to heal up and get healthy from the college season. Get your mind right, get right physically, and go on to the World Team Trials Challenge Tournament, which is going to be one less guy from the Open. Take out one of those top guys. Take out Vito or take out Gross, take out whoever. You got the same field, the top 7 guys or whatever, wrestle them all. Yeah. You basically buy yourself an extra 3-4 weeks. I think it's like middle of May is the Team Trials Challenge Tournament. So if I'm Fix,
I'm gonna have to go to that too.
Yeah, I think that's in Colorado.
It is.
So I personally don't think Fix is going to register. I think take that.
I don't think so either.
Because the downside is if he doesn't win, and now you got to wrestle again in Colorado Springs, that's a lot of wrestling. So if I'm him, I'm just waiting for the World Team Trials Challenge Tournament.
Yeah. Yep. So, I don't even know how to make sense of this way. It's crazy. And you know what? Another thing about freestyle is, and the freestyle season or lack thereof, is that you don't know who's clicking on all cylinders yet, and you don't know who's washed. I mean, guys we think are really good might come in here and just they're just over the hill now. They're just not clicking now. Or there's veterans that we thought, they're next tier guys. They're 5th on the ladder. They might be freaking world beaters, right? And I'm talking about guys like Tomasello and Nahshon Garrett. I mean, if Nahshon Garrett came in and blitzed the field,
I forgot NATO. He's registered too, obviously.
Would you be surprised? But if Nahshon Garrett came in there and was washed, would you be surprised?
Yep. I think my gut tells me this is Vito. This is just Yanni, when he came on the podcast a couple weeks ago, he said, that's the Vito we know in the room. That's the Vito. I was not surprised that he took out Fix and RBY. That I can understand fans obviously being surprised by that, but that's the Vito we know. And if Vito's clicking on all cylinders like he was in NCAAs, it is going to be very hard to pick against him.
It's really crazy though to go 3-2 with Sam Latona.
Yeah.
And then just wrestle with no fear and just totally blitzkrieg Dayton Fix and RBY.
By the way, I also, Joe Colon is also in it this weight, which he's one of those guys you just described. 32 years old. He could come out, and we've seen this play out in the pre-Olympic and Olympic year where a guy who you might think is all done has a tournament of a lifetime and wins. Right. Likewise, you have a young guys like Mendez DeSanto. DeSanto's been wrestling awesome on the senior level. I mean, overseas, he's been just kicking the crap out of people.
There's been a lot of times, man. There's been a lot of times where veterans, namely, either came out and shocked the world, or guys we thought were surefire finalists, it signaled they had a poor performance and it signaled the end of their career.
Yeah.
I mean, look at that one year. Pico was, and you didn't know how ready he was. He was like 20 years old, and he was down 9-0 in the first match, and he came all the way back. And that was the year that Frank Molinaro, nobody picked Frank Molinaro to win that.
Yep.
And then he made the freaking medal match in Rio. I mean, that's what's hard to gauge in freestyle.
This time of year too, it's like
this time of year, right?
One of the crazy things I remember that I always sticks out is Andrew Alira's in 2020. Goes out there, dominates at 65 kilos. You had McKenna in that field, Evan Henderson, Ironman, and Aliris wins it.
Yeah. Yep. And, heading into NCAAs, right? You saw the dual season, you saw the scuffle, you saw Midlands, you saw the conference tournament, and you have all this data like, okay, who's looking sharp, who's looking not. US Open comes and we're basically flying blind. There's not too
100%.
much recent data.
And you also, the matchups are always unique. Like Seth Gross is a guy who never gets as much credit as he should. Even right now, last year, he beat State and Fix in two out of three. And now this year, I'd still pick Vito probably to win this weight. But if Megaludis goes on the run, who are you looking at?
I'm looking at three guys. I'm looking at Gross.
Yep.
As like an A-list contender.
Yep.
Vito and Nico. I really think Nico. I mean, guys like I think Mendez and DeSanto are really interesting.
By the way, the interesting thing that happens at the Open is you might sometimes get an interesting quarterfinal where DeSanto takes out Gross, but then loses the next round. You know what I mean?
That's another thing. That's another thing when I keep thinking about who's in and who's out of this tournament, and the value at some of these weights. Some of them, maybe it doesn't matter, but the value at 57 and 65 to sit out. Well, not six. I meant 61, not 61. But the value at 57 of sitting out is crazy because for the Olympic trials, I mean.
Yep.
Because you might be able to beat Dayton Fix, and you might be able to beat Thomas Gilman, and you might be able to beat Nick Suriano. But if you sit out, you got to beat one. If you don't sit out, you got to beat boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
right. And 61 matter, and circumstances and freestyle circumstances are way different than folk style circumstances, right? I mean, you could get laced and night.
Even the non-Olympic weight, 61, I believe in 2020 Olympics or 2021, the winner of the non-Olympic weight sat in the semifinals.
Yeah.
So there's still, even in the non-Olympic weights at 61,
yeah.
Let's say Vito, if Gross, if these guys win this, and now you're sitting in the semis, that's a big difference when you're talking about the caliber of talent that you see at the Olympic trials.
Yeah. The caliber of talent where, especially Olympic trials, where on paper you might be a notch or two ahead of the guy, but the talent is such that any given 6 minutes, it's a threat. You don't want to have to go through that.
Yep. It's also, there's so many little things, chances of injury, chances of nuanced things that aren't the biggest deal, but still, when you're a wrestler, especially the older guys, I feel like you're taking these things into account. So 61 is going to be an absolute doozy.
Who do you got? Who you got getting her hand raised at the moment?
I think Vito. That's recency biased. NCAAs, you take out Fix, you take out Roman. He's up at 61 this year. Last year, apart from the losses to Gilman, he was so dominant at 57.
I think
now he's up at 61.
I haven't seen a whole lot of stuff made about it, but I think that's news in and of itself, is that he's at 61. He's like, I believe in myself at 61,
right? Yeah.
I guess I'll go Vito, but Vito and Gross. Gross, who knows? Gross could lose first round. Gross could win the whole thing.
Right.
I don't want to disrespect him, but I also want to be realistic,
He's got a funky style. He just has a funky style of wrestling that, he has those close matches and he wins a lot of them. I remember that.
I mean, he was in so much trouble last year in a first round match, and then he wins the whole thing and goes on to make the medal match at Worlds.
Mendez brought it to him. Mendez had a great college season. So this way, it's hard. Picking the Open is one of the least confident picks you can make out of any wrestling tournament of the year.
I know. I was just thinking about, because I'm doing updates every day of who's in the field for the cadet trials. Cadet trials is like one of my favorite things in the world. And I was just thinking to myself, It is so hard to pick. I mean, it's a different style. These are young kids. These are 4-minute matches. These are we haven't seen them in a long time.
What's your thought on 4-minute matches?
I think it's stupid. I mean, why? Just make it 6 minutes.
I agree. It's one of those silly things.
Especially at Worlds. I mean, it's a World Championships.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not 4 years old. They're
Right.
they're 17.
Yeah. All right, 65 kilos. I'm really curious for your take on this. So
65.
the heavy hitters, Matt Kolodzic, Ian Parker, Chad Red, Evan Henderson.
Fletcher.
Yep.
Fletcher.
Luke
Ridge
Fletcher, love it. Ashnall, Composto, Lugo. You've got a lot of guys here. Ian Parker took out Joey McKenna last year at the World Team Trials.
Yeah.
This is a very interesting weight. Ridge, love it. You got to love it.
I did love it.
By the way, so it's kind of late to mention this, but I guess it's fine now because now is where it comes into play.
What?
NLWC has not registered as of this show. So
okay, there was my point. Where is my man?
I think we see Nick Lee and Bo Bartlett. I think we see enter at 65. 61, we're not going to see Roman. Roman's not going to the Open. Sorry to burst anybody's bubbles on that one. NLWC, I texted Varner. I said, please register everybody. We need to talk about it. We don't have anything else to talk about.
I hope he said no.
He said, it'll happen. So I do think on top of that field, I think we see Nick Lee and Bo Bartlett enter this tournament. If Bo's not at the Open, I suspect he'll be somewhere in Vegas. I think Bo wrestles. I'm hoping the Open. I'm hoping, I don't know what his age that he can wrestle for. But I think Lee, yeah.
I don't think he's a junior anymore.
I don't either. I think he's too old now. So what is your take on this weight?
My take on this
By the way, sorry, real quick, shout out Bo freaking Bartlett, because in some of our group chats that you and I talk about NIL, Bo Bartlett is example number one on why I love NIL. You have a guy like Bo Bartlett making awesome content, and he's got 100,000 followers. Congrats, Bo Bartlett, on hitting 100K.
Here's the thing, and sometimes I'm reminded that I don't clarify this.
By me.
You hear me rant and rave about how NIL is grimy and how NIL is this and that and NIL this and NIL that, and it's bullshit. Let me clarify that when I say that, what I mean is that the way it's applied now,
the execution is terrible.
There's no rules. It's grimy and it's dirty. So don't say I hate NIL. Say that I hate the way NIL has been allowed to be bastardized.
Correct.
And that's what I mean. In its purest sense, what Bo Bartlett's doing is great. In its worst sense, handing a bag of cash to somebody to come join your team, that's the worst of it. The worst of it is like the Iowa basketball coach said the other day. Before guys are even getting in the portal, he's getting a call from an agent telling them if they pony up, he'll come to you. Yep. That's the worst of it. What Bo Bartlett is doing is the best of it.
I agree. So shout out Bo Bartlett. I love that kid. Congrats on 100K. He's working his ass off to get those, get that audience. And I think he's getting people who love athleticism. He's doing crazy flips, and he's bringing eyeballs to his account, which then he in turn obviously talks about wrestling. So I think it's awesome on all levels. What is your take on 65 kilos, this field?
My take on 65 is Nick Lee, almost approaching next topic.
Wow.
In a field, in a style, all the stuff that I just said about, you never know. They could be clicking. They could be washed. They could be this. There's so much uncertainty. And then the very next way I say next topic, there really is no next topic stuff. I just believe in Nick Lee that much. I mean, listen, at the 2020 trials,
That
dude
was
was
crazy.
amazing. Dude was amazing. And, sometimes life gets in the way. He's starting his own business now. You never know. The thing about freestyle too, or senior level, is you never know who's all in and all out, right? If is Nick Lee training like a madman every day to make this team, or is Nick Lee working at his apparel company, goes to practice occasionally, and okay, let's see. I'll give it a shot. I'll give it the old college try. You never know, right? But that being said, if Nick Lee is determined to make the team, I'll take Nick Lee. I'm not saying over Yanni yet, but I'm saying to win this tournament.
In April of 2021, I had tweeted out that Nick Lee's hit list over 3 weeks between NCAA's and Olympic trials was Sebastian Rivera, Jaden Ironman, Mitch McGee, Nashawn Garrett, Zane Rutherford, Yanni. He has wins over those 6 guys. When Nick Lee is on, he's on. And I agree with you. Nick has a business now. I think he's very focused on that. I also think he's very focused on wrestling. I think at the moment, I'm very excited for Nick's. Sometimes when some of these wrestlers have a business disconnect, like David Taylor, you see them turn it up on the wrestling side because they actually have a break mentally and they don't over obsess over things, and it lets things progress naturally. It could go the other way. They could be so focused that we also see where they get distracted and they lose a little bit of the itch.
Yeah. So those are things that
if
are
Nick Lee enters, I agree. It's Nick Lee. If I suspect Nick will enter, I think he wins this.
Yeah, it's so deep too, though. I mean, Patrick Lugo, Cole Matthews, Anthony Ashnall, Ridge Lovett, Joey McKenna, Ian Parker, Chad Red, Kolodzik. I mean, that's a lot of guys to go through.
Yep. And
Evan Henderson.
Depending on how it's seeded, too, these semis are going to be bananas.
Yeah.
Even the quarters are going to be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So who knows? Who knows what the matchups are? I just think recency, I'll go Nick Lee.
Yep. I like Nick Lee, too. 70 kilos.
Yeah, what do we got here?
What a field. Jared Verclaren, Sammy Sasso, Jaden Abbas, Caleb Henson, Tariq Wilson, Yaya Thomas, Doug Zapp, Alec Pentelio, Ed Scott. I get Tyler Berger. I get a lot of comments on this, but Hayden Hidley is registered right now at 70 kilos.
He's going to be a tough out. If it's not a problem, him making weight, I'm going Hidley Pantelia.
How do you think Sammy Sasso does? Yeah, I'm crushing these sesame sticks.
How do I mean, I think Sammy will do great. I just it's up. It's 154. It's going to be really interesting to see if Sammy goes 49 or 57 next year. I think Sammy will be fine. I think he's for sure a contender. But Hayden, it's really interesting because he wrestled 174. Now he's wrestling 154.
By the way, and I'll say this too.
Probably going to feel like the Incredible Hulk.
I said this to some people. I can't remember. Somebody would DM me. There are mistakes in the registration. He could show up and be at 74 kilos. Mm-hmm. His registration is not final. There are mistakes. I've seen guys that are registered at the wrong weight, and they text me like, hey, I'm not at 70. I'm actually 65 or vice versa, whatever. So he didn't say anything, so I'm assuming he's going 70. Most times when there's a mistake, somebody corrects it.
I bet you he's going. I mean, that's lower than his college weight 3 years ago. But listen, if you are committed to making a team, if you're committed to doing your very best, then I don't think 154 is. Listen, and he has a job as a wrestling coach, right? I mean, he can manage himself. He can manage his weight, trim down, slowly shrink your body, and he should be able to do it. I don't think it's insane.
I do.
You do?
I mean, he wrestled at 174 in college. That is what's the math? 74 kilos is 165, 164, something like that, 163. So he has a choice here to still wrestle lighter than he wrestled in college and go 74 kilos. And he goes down to 70. I mean, and he's shredded as anybody can get.
Have you ever heard of one Jordan E. Burroughs?
Yeah.
Have you heard of one Kyle Douglas Dake?
Yeah.
These are guys that are around those weights.
I get it. But when was the last time somebody went 2 weight classes lower than the wrestled in college to compete on freestyle?
Well, you have to remember that Hayden, that was a YOLO year for him. That was an extra year. He didn't even know if he was going to take it. Okay, if I am going to take it, I'll go 74. I ain't cutting a bunch of weight. Grind of a season. Hayden is about as level-headed of a kid as you can get. I shouldn't even call him kid anymore. He's a good young man that does what you need to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah. Like he went from 57 right to 74. He wasn't even at.
I mean, how impressive was it what Hayden did? He moved up 2 weights and then went to the NCAA tournament and beat Kemmer twice.
He only lost to what? That he lost to Carter that year, right?
No, I think he lost to somebody else. I could be wrong, but
let's look at the Blessed Wrestle Stat.
Gotta love Wrestle Stat.
Oh, it's the best website. Yeah, lost to Carter 10-3.
You lost to Carter?
Beat Kemmer twice at NCAA.
Twice!
5-3 and 12-4.
How big of stones do you have to not only beat him once on the front side because you're still in contention, but then you're a senior, you're up 2 weights, you're heartbroken, you didn't get the title, then you have to wrestle Kemmer again, and you beat him again.
And he only lost to Mackay Lewis in sudden victory at their duel. Yeah, he's a stud. I can't wait to see. This is another one of those things where how is everything seated, and what's that cut like for him, and who does he get those first couple of matches?
Did he not beat Mackay once?
Did he what?
We're on a Hayden Hidley deep dive. But I think he might have beat. Mackay.
Oh, sorry, he won in overtime. He lost 3-2 right. He lost 3-2 at the ACC championships. He won in overtime at the duel.
Right. I thought he beat him once.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he's a hammer. I mean, here it's so funny how some of these weights shake out, but you have Sammy Sasso's last college match was at 149. Hayden Hidley's last college match is at 174, and they're both wrestling at 70 kilos next week.
Yeah. I know. How about it? I mean, him and Hayden and Tariq are at the same weight class at the Open. And Tariq started as a 33-pounder.
Ain't that something? So, yeah, I think this weight is Pantelio's weight. He is... Berger also always impresses me. Berger is so good, so smooth. And I know you have a Nebraska bias, so you can say, you like Berger.
I love Tyler Berger. I love Tyler Berger. I bought him when he graduated. Like, I was like, you're one of my favorite Huskers ever. I love you. Thank you for your great career. And I bought him like a really expensive bottle of whiskey. He's a whiskey connoisseur.
Is he?
Yeah.
What a great NIL deal. You're not disclosing what you did through the season, but that's okay.
No, that's another one like Hayden. That kid's does what he needs to do at all times.
Yeah. What a tournament this is going to be. 70 is going to be awesome. Who are you picking at 70?
Pantelio and Hayden.
Yep.
Pantelio's, I mean, that dude is good. That dude has good international results.
It's crazy that you think of the Open and all these great matches and all the fields that are so good, and then think about the fact that there's in 7 of the 10 weights there's somebody sitting out who's at a lot of weights that much better and more accomplished. Not just like, you look at all these weights, they're obviously all world medalists that they're sitting out.
Yeah.
So you look at a guy like this 70-kilo field, and then okay, the winner gets Zane Rutherford.
Yeah.
It's crazy how deep the US is right now.
Yep. It would be interesting. You know what you should do, Bash? I got a good content idea for you. Plus, like you have good relationships with a lot of these guys. You should have a 10-minute show or whatever, a 10-minute show with each of the guys that are sitting out and talk about the field and have them pick who they think.
I like that.
That would be cool.
You got to do it before the Open. It's got to be able to happen before the Open.
Right. Like get Zane on and talk about the guys at 70 and say, Zane, okay.
Some of them are so polite, though. Some of them are like, I know. They're all
you
gotta
loosen up. You got to loosen them up, get them loose, and just be honest about stuff and say, okay, Zane, who are you picking at 70 for the U.S. Open? I'd be really interested to see, because Zane would probably be highly complimentary. He'd probably be like, Pantelio's so tough. Those guys wrestled a million times. I'd be interested to see, like, not just what like us idiots think, but the guys that also banged with them before. They probably have some really great takes.
Yeah,
no, I agree. You're the guy to do it.
They also have bias to where they're at, who they're with. Like Dake, good segue to 74 kilos. It's so interesting to me. We haven't seen a big transfer. I mean, Dake wasn't that long ago, but I feel like we're due for another big transfer. I think after the Open, we see a big RTC transfer.
You do? I don't. But here's what.
Somebody's going to make the move before the Olympic trials. I think.
Where are they going to go?
State College.
I think that somebody's going to Nittany Lion Wrestling Club again.
No, I'm just saying. It feels like something's coming. NLWC has a situation that we've never seen before, where let's talk about 74. It's a perfect segue. You have Chenzo, Josh Shields, Joey LaValle, Tommy Gant, Caleb Young. You have probably Jason Nolf entering. This is a field that very deep field. You have 3-time NCAA champs, 2-time NCAA champs.
Dude, this is going to sound so bad, but like I said, I've been laser focused on the high school level stuff and the recruiting stuff. Where is David Carr?
He is not wrestling at the Open.
He's not going, huh?
I asked him about it, and he said, you know what? It was a long year. I have one more shot of winning an NCAA championship. I want to just stay laser focused on folk style. He's doing a missions trip this summer. He's doing some camps. He just wants to stay focused on folk style. And then after NCAA's next year, switch over to freestyle. But for right now, he just wants to stay focused on folk style.
Good. I mean, I respect it.
Back to what I was saying. The interesting situation.
What is NLWC situation? Because of Nolf and
because you have at multiple weights, you can end up with a situation where you have NLWC versus NLWC, and I can't imagine that's an easy thing to coach through. And to be in a room where I would probably say Nolf has to be the favorite to win the Open. So let's say Nolf wins, and I think Chenzo's right there. I think O'Toole, junior world champ, NCAA champ, is right there. But let's say Nolf wins. And now you have April 28th to June 10th. You have Dake and Nolf competing for the world team spot, both training in the same room. And it's not just that. You could also have other weights. If, let's say, Brooks enters at 86 and you have Brooks and Taylor at Final X, you could have multiple weights where it's NLWC versus NLWC. NLWC already has has 5 guys sitting out at Final X.
Where's Nico training at? Pitt or Penn State?
Pitt. Nico's full-time financial advisor. Megaluda's financial is full bore. He does this on the side, which is crazy.
Well, that's what I was talking about with some of the guys that have their business, right? Like Nick Lee and David. I mean, you never know how deep they are committed. I guess you know how deep David's committed. He wins everything. Right?
By the way, Carter likely will have to go down next year for the Olympic trials.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So now you have Nolf, Carter, Dake. I mean, listen, iron sharpens iron. I think it's Proverbs 27:17. Like, there's no doubt these guys are making themselves.
Isn't that false, though? Isn't that not accurate?
Iron sharpens iron?
Yeah. Like, like physical property. I don't think iron sharpens iron.
Bible doesn't really lie. I mean, I don't know. Let's go get some iron. Let's go get some iron and
we'll try to sharpen it each thing.
Yeah, I take that as absolute truth. So,
you know, a lot of people say that it's hard to coach through, and for the coaches, it's probably hard to coach through. Yeah, for the coaches, it's probably hard to coach through. For the athletes, it's probably a little awkward. But at the same time, if I'm Jason Nolf, I want to spar with Dake once in a while. Correct. If I'm Carter Starocki, I want to spar with Jason Nolf once in a while.
I agree. I think, and that's why it's not a problem. It's just an interesting situation that the senior level has never seen before. We saw Dennis and Ramos. We've seen it. Excuse me. We've seen it as a one-off, but as the norm, it's going to be an interesting situation to watch unfold. And here is, Exhibit A, where, Carter tweeted LMAO or commented LMAO, not just about the Hodge, but when Dake transferred to NLWC, I can't remember, maybe not LMAO, but there was something where you can tell these guys are paying attention. They understand. They know that if the NLWC coaches are coaching Dake, Dake's only getting better. Carter, I've been trying to schedule a game on Baschamania for the past 2 weeks. These kids have so much schoolwork that, like, I'm just like, NCAA's is over. You got time. Like, I got this, I got that. I've been trying to get Carter back on the podcast. He was on once. He's full of electricity. He's gonna be a monster MMA personality.
I love Carter Starocki.
So 74, man, that final, one of the semis. You figure the top 3, in my biased opinion, Chenzo's my guy. Nolf, I love him. He's one of my guys.
I actually feel like it's not that great of a field.
It's not. It's definitely not one of the best. If you take out, you have those couple of top guys. You have Nolf, Chenzo, O'Toole. LaValle beat Chenzo overseas. He's a stud. Tommy Gant has had some impressive matches.
When Chenzo beat Derringer, that was at 79.
Yes, so that's what I was just going to say too. Chenzo went 1-3 in the series with Chance last year, who then went on to beat Burroughs in one of the matches at Final X. And I think it was the middle match that Chance won. It was Burroughs, Chance, Burroughs, I think. So Chenzo down at 74.
Where's Chance? Chance is retired, or what's Chance doing?
He's up
Chance
at
in.
79.
Oh,
He's in.
he's here. He's here. All right.
79's bananas. We'll get there in a second. 74, though, man. O'Toole's a junior world champ. Chenzo,
I just mean maybe it's because of the volume of people that are there.
Yep.
I mean, there's going to be fireworks, but it probably won't come to like quarters if the bracket's separated properly.
This is one of those weights where the top 4 is very exciting, and apart from that, it's
I'll take Nolf. I think it's Nolf Chenzo.
I think it's Nolf Chenzo too. Man, I hate matches like that. I hate matches like Chenzo and Nolf.
It's as much as I love Keegan. I don't know. That's a different level, right? I mean, it's hard to see when they go junior to senior. You don't know how that works.
Yeah. Chenzo Nolf. It's gonna be a match where I'm very happy for the winner and very, very sad for the loser. Probably more sad than I am happy for the other. Because I'll be very bummed for one of them.
So Nolf went to Final X last year. Chenzo did not.
Chenzo lost to Marsteller in the best of 3 at the World Team Trials, and then Chance lost to Burroughs in the best of 3 at Final X.
That's right.
Final X last year, Dake beat Nolf 4-2 and 2-1.
Yeah, weird matches, right?
2 closer matches.
Yeah, I never know what to take. This is no disrespect to Nolf, who I think is amazing, but I never know. Like if somebody wrestles a close match with Spencer, which basically never happens, but I'm like, oh, that guy's close, or like I don't know. It's maybe not that. It's hard for me to know what a close loss to Dake means. Because Dake's just they'll do what it takes to win.
Yeah,
I mean, with Kyle Dake close, don't cut it for me. It's because it's Kyle Dake. Now that being said, it's better than getting set.
You know what's interesting about Nolf this year? A lot of these wrestlers have told me that the more teaching they do, the better they understand it. Because when you have to teach it, it just hits differently. You're really going through the fundamentals of something. Nolf has been doing a ton of coaching and instructional content through Ocean's Athlete website, the platform where you can go on and you can pay for content. You can pay for instructional videos. You can interact with instructors. It's super cool. And he's doing a lot of cool stuff with that. I'm very interested to see how Nolf competes when he's put such a focus on teaching and, he's really thinking about the fundamentals. And a lot of these guys have told me that when they're thinking about the fundamentals in teaching, they hit it better. They're more fluid. So one of those things that maybe doesn't come into play, but I'm interested to see when he has spent so much time and so much effort over the past 6 months on not only building up his brand through content, which again, a lot like Bo Bartlett, Nolf just hit 100,000 followers. He's putting out content like crazy. And I'm very excited to see, athletes.
Who hit Nolf hit 100,000 followers?
Yes. He hit 100, just hit 103.
On Instagram?
Yeah. Yep. A lot of video content. He's cranking out the video content. And
I am Instagram. I am not fluid in Instagramology.
It's actually Athletes Ocean. I said Ocean's Athlete. I always think Ocean's 11. Great movie. Phenomenal movie. Forget John Wick. Go rewatch Ocean's 11.
Oh, did you listen to that show with the John Wick?
I haven't seen it yet. I need to see it, but
it's good. That show was interesting. So wait, it's not Oceans, it's Athletes.
Athletes Ocean.
Athletes Ocean. Yeah, man. You know what? really, I was thinking about this today. I feel a little lazy.
Oh, it is Ocean. It is called Ocean. The domain is athletesocean.com. It is called Ocean. See, I knew I wasn't wrong.
I feel a
Sorry.
little lazy about it. I feel like things like I went to Rokfin, started my own channel. It went great. It's going great. It's going awesome. But with that success, I also feel like sometimes um it makes me a little lazy. Like why should I be growing my Instagram? Why should I take the time to grow my social channels when things are working so well? Right? It's like
Fair point.
If things weren't going so well, I would have to be thinking, what can I do to be better? Right? Maybe I should just be better without having to suffer.
At the point you're in, and I don't want to bore everybody with my advice to you, but at the point you're in, it would be cool if you started doing like 15 to 40-second videos where somebody's just like, you're ranking something and you're giving a quick tidbit. That's one thing that people like you and Corby are so great at, is telling these tidbits of information, whether it's rationale, whether it's something nobody thinks of. Just doing a 15 to 30-second clip would blow your Instagram up. You don't need to do technique and stuff. You're really good at ranking and seeds and all of that. And I think that
it was interesting the other day. I was just bored and screwing around and looking at old. Well, I wasn't screwing around. I was doing some prep work for the recruiting class rankings, and I was looking at old big boards, and I just took a screenshot and tweeted it, and people loved it. Like, I think more than maybe I realized, people would dig stuff from 10 years ago. I don't know. They like it.
Yeah, it's we'll have a conversation, Willie, but there's a lot you can do, fun stuff. All right,
Basch Consulting. You just picked up a client.
Let's go, baby. All right, 79 kilos.
79 kilos.
Mikey Labs, Alex Derringer, Taylor Luan, David McFadden, Michael Kemmerer, Chance Marsteller, Isaiah White, Alex Marinelli, Carson Karchula. This will be a fun weight.
It will. It will. I mean, I think that, oh my God. Luan's a problem.
Luan's a problem. McFadden won the Open last year. Marsteller beat Burroughs in a match 2-2.
McFadden won the Open. Did he beat Chance?
He beat
Chenzo.
He beat Chenzo.
But McFadden beat Chance before that.
I believe in the semis he did, yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy match.
By the way, McFadden's training partner right now, Jordan Burroughs.
Oh, yeah. So there's a couple really interesting things going on, right? David's training with Jordan Burroughs. Lujan, to me, who has always been, I don't want to say a disappointment. To me, he's always been a better folk styler than a freestyler. But now he's training exclusively freestyle. I mean, I would think there's really room to grow for that kid, freestyle wise. He's always had a really good IQ about him. So I'm encouraged. I really am looking forward to seeing him. Derringer, again, he's one of those guys that falls into the bucket of, will he blast people or is he reaching his apex? Right? I mean, he's been in the game for a little while now, and he's always near the top. But is he getting better or is he regressing?
How about Marinelli and Kemmerer? That's one of the big things at this weight. Like, Hawkeye fans should be tuning into this. I know Kemmerer is at Spartan RTC now in Ithaca, but
I feel like, man, is it just me or is Marinelli really small for this weight?
I was surprised he wasn't at 74.
I think he should be 74. I mean, he's small in stature. I mean, you put Taylor Lujan next to, you put Alex Derringer next to the Bull. I mean, the Bull looks small.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
think about it. I mean,
Lujan wrestled 84 in college. Derringer spent time at 86 kilos.
Marinelli wrestled, all 6 years, whatever it was, at 65. And 74 kilos is 163.1.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, not to do the nomad thing, but did you ever stand next to Alex? I mean, he's not. I mean, he's put together, but he's not a big person.
well, and
Anyway,
Derringer, yeah. No, I agree.
I think he's going to be small at the weight.
Yeah, I think this comes down to McFadden and Marsteller, but I think that Labriola, Derringer, Luan, I think those guys are all right there and could run to the finals. But I think on paper, you got to go McFadden and Marsteller based on last year.
Man, it is hard to.
But again, that means absolutely nothing because Karchula also very good at freestyle. Like,
I think Taylor Luan's a problem. I think Taylor Luan's a problem.
yeah,
I could be off, but I think Taylor Lujan's training strictly freestyle now for a year or two. I think he's a player at this weight. I'm gonna go. Man, I can't.
Now,
I can't diss. I can't diss even McFadden, but
McFadden beat him 12-8 last year at the Bill Farrell.
Yeah. Man, McFadden is a freak. A lot of people don't realize McFadden's a freak.
He is a freak.
Like strength and athleticism. Maybe it doesn't roll off the video. Maybe it doesn't roll off the screen at you. But he's strong and he's athletic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's gangster too. I'm gonna say McFadden and Marsteller, but I think Luan's a problem, and I think Ringer is still a man.
Yeah. And where's the healthy Kemmerer? Where's he stack up?
I don't know that I believe that Kemmerer's. I mean, Kemmerer can beat anybody, I think, but he's also, to me, less risk averse. I don't know.
Hawkeye report's coming for you now.
I know. When's the last time? When's the last time Michael Kemmerer wrestled a freestyle match? Did I miss it somewhere? I mean, I might be an idiot. And
I think
when's the last time Michael Kemmerer wrestled a freestyle match? My point is, I love Michael Kemmerer. He's one of the. I love Michael Kemmerer. Couldn't respect a human being more. But I'm not ready to pick him. Right? If he can go beat a bunch of the guys that we just spent a lot of time talking about, but I need to see that before I'm ready to.
I think he went to the Dan Koloff. I'm trying to look it up.
Oh, really?
Let me see. Yes, he went 1-1. He has
at what weight? At 79?
79. He had, by the way, so he had a 3-1 win over Isaiah White.
Okay.
And then he had an 11-6 loss to Mia Lysion. No idea who that is.
Armenian?
Devin Skotska took a silver at the Dan Koloff. I believe he's entered at the Open.
He is.
So he's another one. Very good freestyler.
That dude, you ever be around? Have you ever been around Skatska? That dude is put together.
No, but I didn't realize that he took silver last month.
Yeah, right. That dude is strong, or looks damn strong.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's hard for me to get out of that group of four.
Yep.
It's hard for me to differentiate between Derringer, Lujan. Am I way overestimating Lujan? I shouldn't even put Lujan in that four. I should say McFadden, Chance, and Ringer, with Lujan as my dark horse. Maybe.
Well, you can't call him a dark horse, really, right?
Well, I mean, I don't think he's had a whole lot of success, freestyle wise. I don't believe so. I could be wrong, but he's always been much better in folk.
Yeah, well, that'd be interesting. 86 kilos is the next topic. Wait, it's Hall and Zahid.
It's Hall and Zahid. I haven't looked at the field again. I haven't looked at the field. So, O'Donnell, Washington, Fishback, Zahid, Markey, David Key. It is Dustin Plott. It is not loaded.
This is the boringest weight of the Open.
Yeah. Well, Mark just went to a Lil Wayne concert, so he's feeling it. Yeah, it's Mark and Zahid. Next topic.
And Zahid has had Mark's number so far in freestyle.
Yeah.
Zahid is, it's so funny because Zahid is so good and David just destroys him.
Zahid's so good. If Zahid has lungs, he's, I believe he's top 5 guy in the world.
I think if Zahid goes to the World Championships, he medals.
Zahid should go to Mexico. I don't get it. Zahid needs to go to Mexico. I will help fund that. I'm not even lying. I really want to put a Mexican team together. I do. I really want to be El Chapo. Is this racist? Am I being racist right now? No, and dude, I think it's going to happen. I really think it's going to happen. Hector Mendez and Eric Guerrero are putting pieces together, and
yeah,
Zahid has been a couple years out of college now, and like at some point, it's hard to tell a guy. Zahid, I'm sure, wakes up every day and says, "I'm going to make the team. I'm going to beat David Taylor." I'm sure,
and he's got one guy in essence that he's training for. He's training for the same guy for Final X, the World Championships final, Olympic final. It's the same guy. It's David Taylor across the board, across the world.
Right. But I'd like him to be at the dance. I'd like David Taylor and Zahid to be at the dance, to be over in Serbia this year. At what point does he go to Mexico and win a couple of world medals for them?
What do you think does more for the sport of wrestling? Zahid competing against David at Final X or Zahid at the World Championships?
Zahid winning world bronze for Mexico does more for the sport of wrestling. Absolutely. Imagine if Mexico had 2 world medalists. I mean, you put Zahid in there and maybe pick up another guy here and there, and they bring home 2 world medals. Now the country maybe starts taking notice. Maybe it's in newspapers. Maybe somebody opens a club. I don't know. It's better for the sport if Zahid wins a world medal for Mexico than it is if he loses to David Taylor in Final X.
Valid point. All right, 92 kilos gets very interesting. Jaden Cox. Well, Jaden Cox goes up to 97. He's the only one across the board that has so far decided to forego his Final X spot, and he's going up. The only other person who is not a shoo-in to accept Final X berth is Mensa Stock.
Jaden's at 97. We didn't do 92.
Oh, we're doing 92. I'm saying Jaden not being at 92 makes things interesting.
Oh, Morgan McIntosh. I love me some Morgan McIntosh.
The only NLWC. By the way, 86, going back to that real quick, if 86 gets Aaron Brooks, becomes very interesting.
Yeah. What are they doing? Yeah, what's AB gonna do?
We'll know soon.
According to Varner.
Soon.
Good.
So
good details from Varner.
Man of very few words. So Jaden goes up to 97, forgoes his 92 kilo spot. Winner of the Open, goes to Final X, and then the rest of them are going to the World Team Trials
That
tournament
sucks.
to run it back. And also, the winner of the Open has to hop on a plane in like 3 days after and go to Pan Am's. So you better have your passport ready if you think you're going to win the Open.
Wait, what? Who's going to the Open? Who's going to Pan Am's?
Basically, all 7 guys who have said yes to Final X are on the Pan Am team. 61, 92, 125 is the winners of the Open. And Pan Am's are the next weekend.
So if Colin Moore wins the Open, he has to turn around and go to Pan Am's.
Correct.
I mean, does he have to? He could turn it down.
He's going to. So he came on Baschamania, and I asked him that, and he said, "Yeah. So if I win the Open on Friday, Saturday, I had to have a passport, everything ready, and I leave on Monday for the Pan Am's."
Yeah, gotcha.
These guys want to go. This is the pre-Olympic year is the biggest year for Pan Am's.
Why?
I think it's a qualifier for the Olympics to qualify the weight. I could be wrong on that. I think you qualify the weight. No?
You qualify the weight at Worlds. If you wrestle for a medal at Worlds, actually, this year is different, bro. They changed the rules. So in the past, actually, this is gonna get a lot of run. People will be talking about this leading up to the World Championships. They haven't caught on to it yet, but they changed the rules. So previously, if you wrestled for a medal at Worlds, you qualified for the Olympics. If Seth Gross wrestles for bronze and loses, he still qualifies the USA for a spot at the Olympics. Well, that was a bad example because 61's not a.
Yeah.
Not
a we got Olympic. Your point.
Okay. So you get my point. You wrestle for bronze, you lose, you still qualify for Worlds. That's how it used to be. This year, they're doing it different. And I don't know how the hell they're going to pull it off because listen to how they're doing it. So if you wrestle for bronze and you lose, you take fifth. So both of the fifths went, right? So that means first, second, bronze, fifth. 6 guys would qualify for the Olympics. This year, it's only the bronze. So it's gold, silver, bronze. There's one more spot. The fifths are wrestling each other. The fifths are wrestling each other. When? No idea. Think about the World Championships. Okay? You have the bronze match, then the bronze match, then the medal, then the gold match, right? When the hell are the 2 bronze losers wrestling?
The bronze winners, please wrestle. I'm so sick of 2 bronze medal winners. I'm so sick of it. Can we just get one more match?
Well, they're having one more match now. They might as well, right? So they're only taking 5 from Worlds, and the 6th one, the one that they're doing away with, right? Because they used to take 6. Every year they take 6. The one that they're doing away with is going to the last chance qualifier. You know, the one that Jordan didn't qualify in?
Yep.
It's going to that. So that both finalists, instead of only I don't know. But
yeah, I think only the winner, I think, went.
No, if you had to make the finals. So I think instead of 2, they're getting 3 now. Anyway, it's going to the qualifier. It's going to the last chance. That is a long way of saying I don't even know how we got on this topic.
We were talking about Pan Am's and everybody's going. And I thought Pan Am's was a qualifier. I guess I was wrong with that.
No, it's not. It's not. Now, you can earn one at Pan Am's, but not till next year's Pan Am's.
Got it. Well, 92 kilos is loaded. Trent Hidley, Tim Dudley, Eric Schultz, Nathan Jackson, Silas Allred, Rocky Elam, Colin Moore, Morgan McIntosh, Nick Stemmet. I mean, you just have a gauntlet here of Jacob Cardenas, Jonathan Aiello. I mean, this weight is loaded.
Did you say Rocky? Rocky
Yeah.
being at 92 is nice.
This weight is interesting.
It's really interesting because you got the younger guys in like Cardenas and Allred and Elam. Even Schultz is only a year out. Hidley's still in school, but then you got Colin Moore and Morgan McIntosh. Who knows what we're going to get out of McIntosh?
And you have like initially, Nate Jackson and Colin Moore have been battling. You had Nate Jackson, who took a match last year from Jaden Cox at Final X. You have Colin Moore, who just won back-to-back ranking series. And then, like you said, you have these outliers, Rocky Elam, Morgan McIntosh. What a field of just random. You get
I'm
it
really
from
interested to see what Morgan does. I mean, he was sort of out of the game. I mean, he was it Green Beret or something?
Green Beret. Yeah.
Green Beret, way greater than Raspberry Beret. I'm going Colin Moore.
Yeah, I'm going Colin Moore too. I think he looks so good. I'm really rooting for him. I like Colin. He's such a great dude. He has a soft space in my heart that he got robbed his final NCAA tournament. And
yeah.
I think Colin Moore is just firing on all cylinders. He's strong. He's healthy. But Rocky Elam, I love Rocky. I keep telling him I got to get him on the podcast. Like some of these guys,
and Rocky in freestyle as well. I'm a big differentiator of styles. Like I think that Rocky is kind of a step up in freestyle. I mean, he's damn good in folk, but I really like Rocky in freestyle. And so, you got a handful of lead contenders there, I think, with Jackson and Moore. Jackson and Moore have to be like the betting favorites, right?
Correct, definitely. And I think Moore has won 2 in a row. Moore won at the Rudis super match last year, and then I believe he won again. So I would say Moore's the one. Nate Jackson is a close 2, and then you have some of these outliers that are just.
There should be. I'd like to see like maybe this is. I tell Earl to do this. Like give Earl a content idea, or maybe Jason Bryant throws it together. But Earl, this would be a good thing for Earl if he would come up with a list of guys that made world teams that never won an NCAA title. Right, like
Gilman,
like Moore could do it. Gilman could do it. Jamil Kelly won a silver at the Olympics. He never AA'd.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's crazy. He never AA'd.
Yeah, that's wild.
But that could be,
that's a good piece of content.
You could add one to the list here with Colin. So let me ask you this. Devoid of a world medalist because Jaden left, Colin wins this. He goes right to Final X.
Yeah.
Right? Then they have to have the World Team Trials Challenge Tournament to select his opponent or to find an opponent. Is there anybody from this field that we're missing? Is there a Dayton Fix at this weight?
No. Dayton Fix and Cassiope are the only 2 that can skip the Open and go to the Challenge Tournament.
You can't even. Oh, really?
Yeah. USA Wrestling put out the qualifiers. It's those were the only 2. The rest are either already open or already entered into the Open.
What if Bo Nickel just showed up in Colorado Springs? No, you can't wrestle.
So they actually didn't list the 92 yet when they did the article. But for example, so here's who qualifies. The 2021 and 2022 World Team members. That would both just be Jaden. The Bill Farrell highest medalist. I can't remember who won the Bill Farrell. The Pan Am's championship medalist. I think that's Jaden. And then you have the top 7 at the Open. That's it. They added U23 for one. They added a U23 for Cassiope at 125. I'm not sure if there's anybody else at 92. They didn't put out the qualifiers, but
so basically we're looking at this same field.
Correct. Less one.
At the challenge tournament. Gotcha.
So yeah, I think
no chance in Bo, huh?
No, he did get a lot of. He got like 50,000 likes when he did an April Fool's joke saying he's fighting July 8th. That's his next competition of any sort.
And listen, I don't know the weights. This is terrible. What weight is he fighting at? What is he weighing? What is he weighing at? I don't know why does boxing and like MMA do like welterweight, featherweight?
A quick Google search says
just say 174.
This says 185. Middleweight 185.
Yeah.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's more. So Jaden forgoes it, and Jaden's going up to 97. The 97 field is kind of a bust. I mean, you got Jaden Cox, Isaac Trumbull, Mike Mock, Ben Cooter.
Is he really wrestling?
He's wrestling at 97. Why what?
Why? Why doesn't he make the junior team?
Wants a challenge. I put out a long tweet that basically said, I'm not picking him to win, but Ben entering the Open gives me Kyle Snyder vibes 2015.
Yeah.
Kyle Snyder came in the same age, upset Varner, dethroned him, went on to make 8 straight world teams.
Yeah.
Battled every year. Ben Cooter is one of the greatest Iowa wrestlers of all time.
Fact.
So I think Jaden wins this
junior world.
And he's head and shoulders. Like in the tweet I put out, I put the stats that were just crazy about how dominant he was in high school. It's not even close. He is just at such a next level that when you talk about why senior level, I mean,
I was in a suite with him in the final for NCAA finals, and it was catered, right? You call up, it's like room service type thing.
Yeah.
So it was massive amounts of food there. Me, Fellers, Keeter, Fretwell. It was Fretwell's suite. Keeter was a vacuum machine.
Is it Keeter? I keep saying Cooter.
Keeter was a vacuum machine. The dude did not stop eating. It was impressive. And he's going to get bigger. He's going to fill out. He's still sort of a baby, which is scary. And really, he hasn't even scratched the surface of wrestling. He's just an athlete.
Of his 111 high school wins, 105 were bonus and 74 were pins. He won a world championship last year at the U20 level, and I think it was too boring. I think he needs senior level. And he's committed to wrestle and play football for Iowa.
Right. So somebody, now that I think about it, there was a message board, or maybe it was in.
No, I texted you about it.
Yeah, maybe one of my DM groups thought that they had a theory like maybe
not the theory.
Huh?
No, I was gonna say I texted you saying, why don't you have Ben in your crystal ball?
Oh, I'm just uncertain about his football status because Cassiope has one more, that's why.
That's right. I forgot Cassiope when I texted that. All right, so what's the DM group theory?
That he's going up for the challenge, and if he doesn't make the team or doesn't make Final X, he doesn't make it because and the alternative, why go for the junior world title again? um, because he'll have football practice, right? He's going to be practicing for the Hawkeyes during the time you would be training and going to Worlds, right? Worlds is July, August. They're going to be in serious football mode for the university at that time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and you have the national team camps, you have the acclimation camps. It's a lot more than just going to compete in a tournament real quick.
Yeah. So, I mean, long story short.
So what's your expectations for him for the Open?
I think I don't.
So let's say this.
If he beats like a guy like Trumbull, it's like holy shit.
So let's say it's Jaden Trumbull up top and it's Mock Ben on the bottom.
Man, he can't beat Mock now. Mock is a man. Mock
agree.
is an NCAA champ that's been
he's also one of the nicest dudes in the sport by a mile.
Yeah. I don't think Ben is near. I mean, if he would beat a Machiavello, just forget about it. I mean, then we're talking about stop. I just can't see it happening. As much as I love Ben, I mean, it's just I think it's a man versus a boy. Right? I think it's a
But this is the ordinary boy.
I think it's a full-time professional wrestler against like Jim Thorpe as a teenager. Right? He just doesn't do it enough. I don't see that happening. But that's what we're looking for, right? That's what we're looking for. We're looking for Ben Keeter to see how he competes against Machiavello or Trumbull. Because everybody else in the field, we don't care how he does against. Right?
What was your expectation for Snyder in 2015?
That was in Wisconsin. They wrestled on the end mat against Varner. I don't feel like Ben is Snyder level. But even though I should, I mean, he won juniors, which is insane. I don't know. I mean, I thought that Kyle Snyder could beat Jake Varner. I thought Kyle Snyder could win the US Open at that time. Yeah. I don't feel like Ben can. But we'll find out, right?
Yeah. All right. Last, but definitely not least, the greatest heavyweight field at the US Open of all time.
Is it really? Why?
Because you have Gable Stevenson, Olympic champ, junior world champ. You have Mason Parris. You have former world team and medalist Nick Wisdowski. You have Wyatt Hendrickson, who just had a phenomenal season. You have Taiwan, Don Bradley, who's in his 28th U.S. Open.
Paris, Wood,
Zach Elam,
Bradley, Zilmer.
Well, Zilmer's interesting. Cal Shonen quote tweeted my tweet about heavyweight and said Zilmer's not competing.
Whoa, what?
Cal Shonen quote tweeted my tweet.
What the hell is that?
MMA guy, Bad Guy Inc.
Oh, Cal Sonnen. Yeah.
Yeah, it was Shonen, whatever.
Cal Sonnen.
So he tweeted that Zilmer is not competing. Quote tweeted me about saying, like, when I was like the greatest field ever, and he quote tweeted and just said Zilmer's not competing. I don't know if that's a Gable thing. I don't know if it's non-Gable. He registered back in early January.
Well, Zilmer doesn't have to. Right? He's a returning world teamer. He can go to that challenge tournament.
I believe so, yes.
I think. I don't know. I mean,
yes, he can. Correct. He doesn't have to go to the Open. Yeah. He can go to the challenge tournament.
Hey, speaking of, can't Jaden go to the challenge tournament? Oh no, Jaden's at an Olympic weight, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And also, if you forego your spot, you can't enter that or something. There's a rule that they.
Yeah, I screwed up. I wasn't thinking about Snyder. But yeah, man, there's a lot of good. I mean, Elam's a world medalist. Dude, I don't know. How do you pick this? I mean, other
I
than
think Gable's the clear favorite.
right.
You know, it's been a. I understand the Gable next topic argument. When he competes, he's head and shoulders above everybody. But he's been doing a lot of WWE training. He had heart surgery. He
had heart surgery?
He had a minor heart surgery like last year, I want to say. Yeah. WWE put a thing out about it.
What?
Yeah.
No.
So back in October, the WWE put out a press release that they had a surgery to treat Wolf Parkinson White syndrome. It was a health issue that they said was discovered before he traveled to Tokyo for the Olympics, but he didn't undergo the procedure until WWE's medical staff advised him through the process. It's a rare congenital heart defect present in birth in which an extra electrical pathway causes a rapid heartbeat. So, probably doesn't mean anything for his performance.
He caused a rapid heartbeat at the end of that Olympic match, didn't he?
In millions of households.
That was an extra electrical pathway.
So I agree that I think the dead-on clear favorite is Gable. But I do think you have, and Zillmer not wrestling here is interesting because Zillmer beat Gwiz last year. So seeding this would be very interesting. I don't know where you put Mason Paris. When was the last time Mason Paris wrestled freestyle?
I'm putting him in the finals against Gable.
So that's what I think.
That's where I'm putting him. Although I do like Gwiz.
But I asked about seeds because is there a shot Gable and Mason are on the same side?
Yeah, that's the tough thing about you never know. You never know how they're gonna draw out.
That's one of the interesting things here is how they end up seeding this out. You know, what happens with some of these guys who are more active on the senior level. I don't know the last time Mason Paris wrestled freestyle, and I don't know how they seed that and, you know, what they take into consideration there.
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, just making picks here. I go Stevenson and I would go the winner of Paris and Gwiz if the brackets were to fall that way.
I agree. I think that's but it is going to be fun to have the likes of Zach Elam, Wyatt Hendrickson, to have them in here is going to be fun.
You see who's registered here? Dan Erickson. Dan Erickson was an Iowa All-American in like 1928. Like not really, but like 2010 or something.
He doesn't. He wrestles a lot.
Dan Erickson?
He wrestled. Let me pull this up. Yeah, because the name sounds familiar. He beat Jordan Wood.
What?
4-0.
He's my age. Sorry,
not Jordan Wood. I'm looking back at results. He won last year. He beat, I don't know who the hell this is. Not Jordan Wood. He wrestled last November. He wrestled last May. Dude just likes to wrestle.
That's awesome. I don't know. I missed him
with the All-American Wrestling Club.
I missed him in previous recent tournaments. He popped out when I saw he registered. I was like, what? That dude, let's see. I mean, it was Dan Erickson, Iowa Wrestling.
2010.
I mean, you can even look him up he predates WrestleStats existence.
He wrestled in 2005 to March 2010. He graduated 13 years ago.
Yeah.
You know they're old if they predate WrestleStat.
I mean, when did Jordan Burroughs graduate?
That's what I was just Googling. That I think 2011.
Yeah, he's older than Jordan Burroughs.
Jordan's 34. He'll be 35 this year. Jordan will turn 35 1 month after Final X.
What do you think Jordan's going to do? Do you think Jordan's going to be like, Why doesn't Jordan? Somebody should recruit him to be like like Michael Strahan. Like
I think he will. I think he'll do a mix of. I think we haven't seen anything like Jordan post wrestling. I think we'll see him do motivational speaking. I think we'll see him on talk shows. I think we'll see him commentate. I think we see him on TV.
Why is he not like Good Morning America or something?
I think he will be. He has the personality, the charisma. He has it all.
Yeah. Go mainstream.
I think he will. I don't think wrestling's ever had somebody like him retire before.
Yeah, I mean, well, my thing
is especially in this day and age.
A lot of guys get gigs because of their sports careers, right? Like a lot of ex-football players go on to do stuff. I mean, Michael Strahan's sort of special in that he was a good football player with a big personality, good character, good morals, good substance. And he went sort of mainstream, right? He's not an analyst on NFL Countdown. He's good. I don't know what he is, but he's major talk show, right? I think crazy. Jordan beyond sports just has the skill set to do that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of athletes that get a crazy payday. Like look Brady, for example. He's getting like $37 million a year for a decade to commentate. Nobody has any damn clue how Brady is on a microphone.
That's my point. Nobody has a clue. Jordan has been in front of a spotlight. He's done wrestling broadcasts. He's done public speaking. He's been on like a Rogan, right? He's done the Olympics stuff. You can tell that he can do a show.
Yeah, he's very good. I think he'll be super mainstream. I do. He's got the total package.
Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
So that's the U.S. Open men's freestyle. Maybe we'll do a separate show with some other stuff. Women's freestyle 76 kilos is going to be bananas.
But you could see it coming to a couple years ago. I was like, wow.
Kennedy Blades healthy wins the senior world championships this year.
Crazy.
Adeline Gray had twins 9 months ago. I don't know. She's a savage for even entering this freaking tournament. And the fact that you have so much young talent here is like, it's just bananas. That weight is going to be crazy. I think Kennedy wins it though.
Well, let's admit
72. She's at Final X. She's not going to the Open.
Oh yeah, that's right. I saw your tweet and it just made me laugh.
Which one?
The one that said Elor makes her first world team of the year. I'm like, it doesn't get said about anybody else. It's like it's like very matter of factly stated, but I went like, yeah, normal human beings don't make multiple.
And this is after a year that she became the first ever to win all three. She won 3 world championships last year, and she's trying to do it again, and she can.
It's just stupid.
Who's going to stop her?
It's just stupid.
What the question will be if she goes up or down for the Olympics. I think she goes down if she can.
I don't have an opinion on that yet, but here would be my opinion. I would have to think about it, and I would have to think. I want her to do whatever is best for Team USA.
Mensa stock is down at 68, but she's the only other one who has not. So she's the only returning medalist who did not take the Pan Am spot. And Jaden, because he's going to 97. So it'll be interesting to see. She has like another couple weeks to accept her Final X spot. I had her on the podcast shortly after the Olympics, and she had said, I don't know how much longer I want to wrestle. I've got a lot of opportunities out there. So I don't know if she's going to, if she doesn't wrestle, I think it's a no-brainer for Elor to go down to 68. No-brainer.
Man.
I'd hate to see her not wrestle. She's so
Tamron better,
good.
she better wrestle one more Olympics, then do whatever you want to do.
There's also a chance that she doesn't wrestle this year, shows up to Olympic trials,
Yeah, right,
steamrolls everybody.
That's what I mean. I need one more Olympics out of her.
Mm-hmm. I agree. She's
Just
an awesome human. Awesome human
being. Yeah.
All right, Willie. That's the Open. Any other tidbits? Any other commitments?
No, there's we've been doing this show probably for an hour and a half, and that's one thing that has gotten me sidetracked too, is that I there were a couple days, the past couple weeks, there were a couple instances where I couldn't get things done because people were calling me about the and I calling people about the Oklahoma stuff.
You were hilarious in your episode, your solo episode about Rob Cole being a scientist. The story is great. Rob is a mad scientist.
Rob,
I just wanted you to see what a Uber looks like in Oklahoma.
It was so fun. It was so funny. There's a picture of the Oklahoma schooner covered wagon. I said, "Does that mean you take the job?" No, I just wanted to show you an Oklahoma Uber. But last night, well, it was about 4:30 this morning. 4:30 this morning, I'm trying to go to sleep, and when you get a text, like your phone lights up and stuff.
Yep.
So I'm laying there in the pitch dark, and my room lights up because of the phone, and I look at it. Who the hell's texting me at 4:30 in the morning? And it's Rob. And he goes, "I never listen to shows about myself. I never listen to any I never listen to anybody talk about me. I don't care about it." He's like, "But I made an exception, and I listened to your show, and you said we weren't BFFs. You let me down." And I'm like, "Wow." I said, "I'll issue a press release to correct." So, I mean, what I meant by it, obviously, I didn't mean we weren't friends. What I meant, like, he took time out of his. He's super busy, right?
You're also being humble. You're being humble and saying, like, listen, Rob Cole has a lot of people to call. I'm not top on his list. That's
what I meant, right? I mean, I was just appreciative that he took time at getting all kinds of calls and just sort of nudging me,
One little piece of transfer portal news that did come out, I think, yesterday. Minnesota, Troy Spratley entered the portal, 125.
Hey, what the hell is going on? There's a lot of fake news lately, isn't there? Like, somebody told me, I don't know, somebody told me that Nomad like tweeted something at noon or something. I mean, nothing happened today, did it? Nobody committed today, did they? Other than Caleb Smith?
Caleb Smith, I think Nomad tweeted, sounds like a big time transfer announcing today. So then he tweeted an hour ago about Caleb Smith. So it's probably just that.
Oh, it was that one, I guess. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it had to just be that.
Yeah, Van D will go. They got that freshman from Erie, Van D, so he'll go 33 now. He was going to try to make 25 for a year, but
who's getting the Oklahoma job?
My sources told me two sources tell me a couple hours ago, probably right before we jumped on here, that Nickerson, they didn't specify if he didn't get offered the job or if he got offered and turned it down, but it's not Nickerson. It's not Nickerson. So search continues.
That'd be hard for Nickerson to take that job after Aliris's performance and story about staying home and trusting in Nickerson and Steve O'Poulin.
That's what somebody said to me when there's all this smoke going around today that Nickerson. They said, imagine if Nickerson went and he had he has the roster he does now, plus he could maybe bring Poulin and bring Aliris. I said, Aliris just did a worldwide media tour saying you can win at home. He ain't leaving now.
Do you feel like this last point, and then we'll go, I got to order some some dinner. Do you think this has so far been, I know it's early in the offseason, but been a quiet coaching carousel?
Yeah, super quiet. It's one job.
It seems
One
quiet,
job.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's early still. It's only mid-April, but I feel like it's kind of quiet.
Yeah, and I don't foresee anything else popping off or opening up because well, I mean, what jobs? What jobs? You know, if they're gonna get rid of a guy, it happens between the day NCAA ends and 2 weeks after that. It's just historically.
And that was also like, I remember last year seeing articles about, you might have even done a video on it, about him being on a hot seat, and was he on the hot seat? Like, there's not too
There
many.
was a lot of there was a lot of juice last year at the time. I mean, I was getting calls. Roselli's fired. Roselli's getting fired. Roselli's getting fired. Book it. And then it happened this year. Roselli fired. Got fired at NCAAs. No, he didn't. So you know.
Yeah, it definitely feels quiet this year. There's not too much circulating out there.
Yeah, yeah. I wish there was. I think there's a lot of jobs that you could do a better job at. That
I think there's a lot of
just
good coaching candidates that are 2, 3, 4 at schools right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And there would be a lot more. You know, people are sticking around RTCs a lot longer than they used to.
You know who's one of my top picks right now to take over a program?
Oh,
If you had to guess, who would it be? It's not a current coach. They're on a coaching staff, but it's not a head coach.
well, you're probably say Vincenzo.
Nope.
Deacon?
Eric Thompson.
Oh yeah, Eric.
Give that man a program. Give him his coaching staff and watch what happens.
Eric Thompson's awesome, man. Yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude. I talk to him often, actually.
Yeah, he's fun. He's somebody. When we mention like when we do the shows where we say like, you know,
I had him ranked. I had him ranked number 1 in the country in high school.
Really?
He was a freak.
He's an awesome dude. He always calls me like when we're talking about something and I don't name names or you don't name names, he calls me, name names.
I like having those guys. I like having Pritz and Thompson and Cole and like Pendleton and Engel, because they're like the only guys up when I'm up. I can call somebody at the West Coast.
Pendleton sometimes texts me not like at night his time. I go to bed early, so I don't see it until I wake up. And then I text him when I get up and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like 3 a.m. there, 2 a.m.
Yeah. Well, so maybe some stuff pops off in the next couple hours. I'm gonna do a show tonight that I'll post tomorrow or in the next, I don't know, 24 hours. Breaking down the junior big board, which I think is really important because 2023 is all gone. Now people are going to hone in on this one. But at the top of that show, I'll talk a little bit about OU situation and maybe some portal stuff.
I love it. Hopefully,
all right, my man.
I love the 2 a.m. emails from Rokfin. Willie posted a new first word. It's got a new meaning. It's like the first word for the day. You wake up and there's a new show.
Wake up, it's going to be there for you.
All right, I love it, guys. Chime in and let us know what you think on Twitter. We always love to engage. See you, man.
See you guys.
And the beat goes on.